Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the regular scheduled meeting of the Beavercreek City Council on February 24th. May we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Bales?
Here.
Councilmember Curran?
Here.
Councilmember Garcia? Councilmember Rushing?
Here.
Councilmember Schwartz? Here. Vice Mayor Adams?
Here.
Mayor Stone?
Here. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to approve,
Excuse
Councilmember Garcia.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to excuse Councilmember Garcia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. At this point, I'd like to turn the meeting over to Councilmember Bales for the pledge.
Okay, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to ask the Boy Scout here to lead me. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join me in prayer. Dear Lord, tonight I ask in prayer that you look over and protect the Beavercreek community. I ask that you provide our first responders, city administration, and community leaders the strength and courage and wisdom to lead Beavercreek with forethought and integrity. Please inspire us and guide the decisions that will affect our future as we lead our community towards prosperity. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Now, you have an agenda before us tonight. Any changes?
Make a
Move we
motion
approve
to
it.
approve.
Did I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as submitted. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Tonight we have a pre-scheduled speaker and certainly a familiar face here. Brian Jarvis, come forward, please, and tell us what's up.
All right, thank you, Mayor, very much. Mayor, Vice Mayor Adams, City Council, thank you so much for letting us speak. My name is Brian Jarvis, representing the Beavercreek Fair Funding Committee. We have members of our committee here today to talk about alternative revenue source for the city of Beavercreek, and there are a few of them back here. You raise your hand, the members of the committee, so there's 5 or 6 of them back here to give me some moral support, and that is
Front row just doesn't work. Is it?
always, no, it's kind of like church, gotta sit in the back. But let me work through these. If you have questions, feel free to interrupt me or wait till the end, whatever you want to do, that's okay. What we're looking at today is a solution for the Beavercreek community for an alternative revenue source. We know that there are issues in the city right now, financial issues that a lot of the residents are concerned about, and each of these groups of residents, as well as the city itself, has its own concerns. We have residents who want reduced property taxes, and we need to find a way to satisfy that. We have the city who has total reliance on property taxes, and again, we want to find a way to mitigate that. We have citizens concerned that non-residents aren't paying their fair share for local public services, and this solution, we believe, takes care of that. We have seniors that want to stay in their homes, that feel they're being taxed out of their homes, retirees on fixed retirement income, and there's other types of income that's tax exempt according to state law, military, active duty, reserve, guard. There was a long list of tax exempt items, and again, this solution here considers those. We have employed residents who pay earned income tax elsewhere and don't want to pay any more. And we have residents who work in cities and communities that don't tax their income, and they don't want to pay any more than they would with an income tax. And so, as you can see here, this was not an easy solution, and the city won't be able to maintain its aging infrastructure, provide quality of life that the residents want, or address their concerns without some other solution. As you can see, this is a very, very difficult uphill push to try to satisfy all these desires of our residents in the city, but we believe that we have a solution here. Council's current strategy, the levy option strategy, it continues the recent trend of making levies continuous, renewing them when needed, and having additional levies every year going forward. And what we found was that starting in 2021, with a renewal of a current 3.4 mil levy plus some additional 2021, a capital infrastructure bond issue, In 2022, a planned police levy, as well as a street operating levy. In 2023, a new parks levy, and then repeating that cycle every 3 years is going to increase property taxes tremendously. Now, again, like I said, we have different groups of people. One, that's burdensome on their budgets. The other one said they're fine with increased property taxes. And in addition, the city does have a $200 million backlog of unfunded infrastructure and capital improvements it needs to make, and doesn't have anything in place for that. So looking at those total of property tax levies that are planned for the next 3 to 5 years, it's a huge, somewhere between, depending upon how much the infrastructure backlog levy would be, you're talking between 8 to 11 or 12 mils. It's a huge amount. The alternative we're looking at, and going to present this evening, is an income tax that we believe can satisfy the needs of the city with these levies, as well as those 4 groups of constituencies that we discussed earlier. As we said, the current levy option strategy is going to increase property taxes every 3 to 5 years. These are going to repeat going forward. We believe it will have a devastating effect on property taxes and create continuous tensions in our community. With the initial 5.5 mils of levies, it's $192.50 per 100,000 valuation, and that's just to maintain the current level of services for streets, parks, police, with minimal changes to staffing levels. Then an additional levy to get the backlog of infrastructure work completed. Currently doing $200 million of backlog work, $1 or $2 million a year, is going to take a century or two complete, and that is not reasonable. This proposal would bring that down to getting them done in 20 to 40 years, which is much more realistic. And then that 5.5 mil levy would repeat every 3 to 5 years. Now, on the right side of this chart, we see what the initial effect of having an income tax would have. There would be, first of all, a 3.4 voted mill property tax rollback. That's a current millage that is planned to be renewed and made continuing should the levy option strategy be accepted. Under this income tax option, all property owners, commercial and residential, would receive a tax reduction of 3.4 voted mills. And that millage, it does that by expiring at the end of 2021. The plan here, the concept here, is to have this income tax voted on in November of this year, use 2021 time for that levy to expire, and the income tax not start until 2022, January 1st. That way there is no overlap between an expiring property tax and implementation of this income tax. All property owners avoid all of those property tax increases that we just discussed. That would be replaced by this single income tax. It would be funded at a 1% rate, large enough to handle all that. Most Beavercreek residents are already paying an earnings tax where they work, and so they get 100% credit towards that and not have to pay any more. Retirees on Social Security, retirement, pension income, IRAs, 401ks, things like that, that's not taxable by state law. Active duty military or any other tax-exempt income isn't taxable. Beavercreek residents who are working someplace where there is no income tax on their earnings would be taxed at this low 1% rate initially, but those property tax rollbacks and the avoidance of those increasing taxes would offset that for them. And so the net result is they would be paying the same as if there was the property tax in place. They would see no difference. And so their wish of not paying any more than the property tax would be satisfied. So this recommendation is for a 1% earned income tax. As we said, non-residents who are employed in Beavercreek will pay 1% tax to Beavercreek, and that's key. We'll see that in a bit, just how many non-residents there are that work here, that first 1% of their earned income tax would stay in Beavercreek rather than going back to their home communities. No tax on retirement income, Social Security pensions, as we discussed earlier, military pay, other tax exempt. Employed residents paying taxes elsewhere would be getting that 100% tax credit up to Beavercreek's tax rate and wouldn't pay more. Other employed residents would pay their earned income tax to Beavercreek. All of them would receive that property tax reduction when that 3.4 voted mill levy expires at the end of 2021, prior to the income tax starting. And none of those currently planned levies would be put on the ballot. For streets, police, parks, infrastructure, those would all be handled within that 1% income tax. This fairly shares the funding of services between residents and non-residents who all use the services. It fairly balances the burden of funding city services between property taxes and earned income taxes. It provides all local property owners significant property tax relief, and it generates revenue for the city to maintain quality operations, start addressing that backlog of infrastructure, capital improvement, and other projects that have been postponed. We know in our region what the income tax rates are in all the cities around here. Those first 3 columns go through 49 different communities. Beavercreek's 1% would be near the lowest. The only 2 lower would be the villages of Waynesville and Jamestown. They both have a 0.5% income tax. Everyone else is 1% or higher. And on the right-hand side, we look at the 10 cities that are largest in this region, going from Dayton, the largest, down to Xenia. Beavercreek's population is right in the middle, but Beavercreek would have the lowest income tax rate at 1% of all of them. The closest one to Beavercreek's would be the city of Mason, which has a 1.12% income tax. This benefits us. We would have the lowest income tax rate of any city in this region. Would capture significant tax revenue from non-residents employed in the city. Taxes collected from non-residents who work here will make the city less reliant on local property taxes and provides revenue the city needs to maintain its high-quality services that residents have come to expect. And it allows local property tax millage to remain lower than is currently possible under the current system that we have. So we see in this chart here a chart showing of all the jobs that are in Beavercreek City, over 75% of them are held by non-residents who work here. And we would be capturing, keeping here that first 1% of the income taxes that is generated. We're missing out on significant revenue by not collecting taxes there. Millions of dollars are generated in Beavercreek that are currently going back to surrounding communities' public services, while at the same time those communities are taxing our residents, supporting their public services. We can level that playing field with this solution, and that the taxes collected here will improve our city's services and make us less reliant on local property taxes. Currently, of that bar chart we show on the left-hand side, the blue histogram line shows 100% of local property taxes going towards our public services. The second set of lines there showing just considering the income tax, that ratio of 100% resident, 0% non-resident would go to 70% resident, 30% non-resident, just by having the income tax in place. And with the property tax rollback of the 3.4 voted mills, it goes to 2/3 of our services supported locally and 1/3 by non-residents. So by having this plan in place, a full 1/3 of our public services would be funded by non-residents who work here. That is very much better than the proposal to levy higher and higher property taxes just on our property owners. This really brief chart here shows the impact. Those rightmost columns, the first one asks, will they pay higher income taxes? The second one, will they benefit from lower property taxes? The third one, will avoided levy option strategy benefit them? And the fourth one is, will they benefit from improved services? The first column is looking at retirees, military, or others with non-taxable income. They won't pay higher income taxes at all. They'll benefit from lower property taxes. They'll benefit from avoiding those higher and higher levy option strategy, and they'll benefit from improved services. Similarly, the second row, if we have a resident that works in a city that taxes them at a rate equal to or higher than Beavercreek's tax rate, they won't pay any higher taxes. They'll benefit from lower property taxes and from avoiding the levy option strategy, and they'll benefit from improved services. The third row applies only to people who work in Jamestown or in Waynesville who are being taxed at a rate lower than Beavercreek. They'll pay slightly higher income taxes, but the offset of lower property taxes and avoiding levy options will benefit them such that they won't pay any more, and they'll benefit from improved services. And finally, individuals in Beavercreek who work somewhere that has no income tax, they work in Beavercreek or on base or in a township or in some villages, Yes, they will pay higher income taxes, but the offset of the lower property taxes and avoiding those higher property tax increases will cancel each other out. They will all benefit from improved services. So the way we've implemented this, it's large enough to benefit all of our residents. It does reduce the amount the city will get in order to implement that, but still enough for the city to complete its backlog of infrastructure and other activities in a 20 to 40 year time frame rather than in a century or so. All issues, I say, are resolved with this tax. Reduced property taxes, city less reliant on them, non-residents paying their fair share. That is critical to this working. The great work you're doing in getting more business here makes this even better for residents, because we can have more tax dollars stay in the city than would otherwise. Our seniors wouldn't be taxed out of their homes. Others on fixed incomes would enjoy that same benefit of lower taxes. Working residents paying taxes elsewhere wouldn't owe anymore, and the city will be able to maintain its infrastructure. Next on our agenda is to work out some details, making sure all the numbers crunch exactly right. Hopefully we'll get the nod from you to move forward with that. We will hold meetings with all stakeholders in the city, focus groups with city council, school district, all the different groups that you see there, and if we've missed any, we will be out continuously between the time you give us a go-ahead and election day later on this year in November. We're going to continue our committee. We need fundraising. We'll get the word out, and our goal is to place this on the ballot in November. I mean, that would be a great time. It's a general election. Everyone is out. We wouldn't be slipping this in a primary. We want to make sure that everyone who wants to hear this hear this has a chance to vote on it. And we'll answer questions that anybody has. Again, if you have some that are kind of sticking out right now that I've left open, feel free.
All right.
And some that you might have that worked in those charts, I have some slides here that I can show you my answers also, just in
Okay,
case.
Brian, I appreciate that very much. I know you have a committee that is working with you. You introduced some of them in the back.
Yes.
If any of your committee members feel like they'd like to address council on this, please join in right now. Please come on up, introduce yourself.
Mark Walsh with the committee, and I and some other people worked on this about 17 years ago and weren't able to push it through, but to me this is we've really committed almost financial suicide, to be a little dramatic, because we're letting all this money go to our surrounding cities and their infrastructure is benefiting. For instance, Kettering, we're about 3/4 the size of Kettering, and their budget last year, the capital improvement budget, was $28 million, or I'm sorry, $22 million. Our capital improvement budget last year, correct me if I'm wrong, was 2.5. So we're 3/4 their size with 1/8 the capital improvement budget. Some of those capital improvement budget dollars that they are spending were earned here in Beavercreek. Also, Kettering has 250 miles of roads. We have 333 if you count the highways. Their budget for blacktopping roads last year was $8 million. Our budget this year, correct me if I'm wrong, was $1 million. So there's a horrible shortfall in funds for investing in our infrastructure, and it really is financial suicide not to take this money and improve our own community. Also, by the city delving into property taxes, it keeps the property taxes relatively high, and it makes it harder for the schools to pass their bonds. And as we all know, the health of a suburban community like this depends on the health of their school system. So we're inadvertently hurting the school system. That's all I wanted to say.
Thanks, Doc.
Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Mayor and Council.
Hello.
Pardon me?
Hello.
I'm Rosalind Braley. I've lived in Beavercreek for a little over 40 years, and during that time, Beavercreek has changed. Beavercreek has grown from a bedroom community, and then when our charter was drawn up years ago, we opted not to have an income tax, for good reason then. However, now we have businesses everywhere, and 75% of those working in Beavercreek live in the surrounding areas. And because we have no income tax, their income tax is given to all of those towns in which they live. This means, and this is what irks me and a lot of people, this means that, like he just said, this means that we are giving Dayton, Kettering, Fairborn, and all those towns around between, and I'm going to use a number because we've had it floated, between $12 and $20 million every year we do not have an income tax here of our own. During that same time frame, Beavercreek's demographics also changed from 25% of retired people at that time to now there's almost 75% of the Beavercreek residents are retired and on a fixed income. And yet it's we, retired folks on fixed incomes, who are shouldering the major burden to pay for everything of all of the revenue through our property taxes. And that continues to soar, threatening to force some of us out of our homes that we've lived in, me, like for 40 years. My husband passed away in 08, and my property tax has gone up from about $4,000 a year to this year $5,800. So that's more than 25% of my fixed income. Just an FYI, and a personal thing. To me, that's not fair. So we have named our committee the Fairer Funding Committee. Beavercreek Fair Funding Committee, which always is the BFF. We want to be your BFF. But it's also an earned income tax, which restates Brian's comments of only earned income tax will be taxed. And I feel that, or we feel that this is fairer, or will be fairer, and I'm just going to give little bullet points to reinforce this in your brains. It will be fairer because it would allow us to capture our fair share of the earned income tax already being paid by those who work in Beavercreek and live in those surrounding towns, and yet enjoy the benefits that our city provides, that we're paying for. It is fairer, number two, because it will lessen the property tax burden carried by Beavercreek residents and businesses, which is especially helpful to us seniors. Number three, it is fairer because it diversifies, broadens, and stabilizes the revenue sources the city must rely on to maintain the quality of services that we have come to expect and that you try to provide for us. Number four, it is fairer because it would virtually remove the city's portion of the property tax equation, thus greatly lessening what our previous speaker commented to, greatly lessening our competition for the school revenue dollars. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 5, it is fairer because the $12 to $20 million generated will give the city the resources to begin tackling the major infrastructure and capital improvements backlogs that we need. I thus feel that this is a much fairer way of funding our city's needs and will benefit many with minimal impact on the few.
All right,
Thank you.
Anyone else of the committee? Brian, you want to close it a little bit here?
Yes, just to
Any
close it really.
questions, anybody?
Yeah.
Any questions for Brian and his committee? For the public's sake, I mean, we've heard bits and pieces of what you've been working on for some time.
Right.
And so we invited you here tonight to give us your consolidated plan as you've narrowed it down.
Right.
And so what we need to do tonight is decide if we want to ask our staff to work with Brian and his committee to to try to justify the numbers, to double-check the different aspects, and so they can make a recommendation to us. So if there's no questions, does anybody have any first? If there aren't, I'd like a motion that we instruct staff to work with Brian to see what direction staff might want to recommend to us.
I so move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is that adequate, sir? To direct the city manager to work with Brian and company. That city manager change okay? Yes. All right, all in favor say aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Brian, thank you
Okay.
very much, and we'll see what spring brings here.
Yes, it'll be exciting. This process we started by listening to the residents that we took in for their ideas, and we believe we've satisfied each of those groups that wanted something from this. We appreciate your time listening to us, and appreciate your leadership and in the direction to move forward with our next step. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, sir.
Counselor, pass the water.
All right, next on the agenda, ordinances, resolutions, and PUDs. First is ordinance 20-04.
This is the second reading of an ordinance amending ordinance 19-06, PUD 19-1, IH Credit Union Development to add 0.485 acres to the existing 1.595 acre PUD.
Okay, this ordinance was sponsored by Councilmember Curran. This is the second reading. This is the final reading then, as we have changed our ordinances. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address council on this particular application? Please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ben Clausius. I'm here with Dana's Building Construction Company, the developer for the project. I'm just here on behalf of the credit union to answer any questions you might have to the best of my ability. But that's all I got.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve? Mr. Councilmember Curran.
Approve the ordinance 20-04.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 20-04. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Thank you very much, sir. Next, liquor permits. Chief.
Evening, Mayor, Council. I have a transfer of a liquor permit to Miller Partners LLC, doing business as Knollwood Tavern. We received from the Ohio Division of Liquor Control a notification request to transfer the D1, D2, D3, and D3A liquor permit from Knollwood Tavern, PLL, to Knollwood Tavern. To Miller Partners LLC, both doing business as Knollwood Tavern, 3833 Dayton Xenia Road. The required records checks on the business officer shareholders was conducted, and staff is recommending the application request move forward without comment.
Thank you very much. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to accept without comment.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the table. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, now we're going to have a little fun, ladies and gentlemen. This is the meeting in February where we make appointments to our boards and commissions. And so tonight we're going to go through the process of nominating and appointing individuals to our various boards and commissions. So, do we want to start at the top at the Planning Commission and work across the flow chart?
That'd be great.
So, I need a motion to open nominations for the seats on the Planning Commission.
Just a second. I move,
All right, hang on a second.
No, not on that. Three, you have to hit three all entered to switch the input. You probably didn't hit the right one. Yeah, you did. Okay, good. It's all for Google.
Okay. Now I'll accept a motion to open nominations for Planning Commission.
I'd move Nick Loftus.
Let's move for the open the nominations first, please.
Mayor, I
I've
move
got
to
it.
open,
That's-
You gotta open it.
Mayor, I move to open nominations for the Planning Commission.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to open nominations for Planning Commission. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are open for nominations. May I hear nominations, please? Now, Mr.
Nick
Curran.
Loftus, Your Honor, for Planning Commission.
Okay,
Mr. Mayor, I nominate Jonathan Meyer for Planning Commission.
thank you. Are there any others? Do I hear a motion to close?
I move to close nominations for the Planning Commission.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to close nominations for Planning Commission. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. There are 2 seats available. There were 2 people nominated. Do I have a motion to appoint? Are they the same term? Do we have to do it separate? All right. Do I have a motion to appoint those 2?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mayor, I move to appoint Nick Loftus and Jonathan Meyer for the term of 3/1/20 through 2/28/23 for Planning Commission.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to make the appointments. Follow back here. Mr. Loftus and Mr. Meyer for Planning Commission. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. All right, that was practice.
That's practice.
Now I need a motion to to open nominations for the Board of Zoning Appeals, please.
I move to open nomination for the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to open nominations. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I will accept nominations now, please.
Mr. Chair, I move to appoint Rich Porter. Nominate.
Okay. There are 2 seats available. Do I have any other nomination?
I move to nominate William Altoff.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, do I have a motion to close?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to close nominations. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I opposed? All right, there are 2 nominations, there are 2 seats. Do I have a motion to appoint?
I move to appoint William Altoff and Richard Porter to the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to appoint Mr. Hoff and Mr. Porter to the Board of Zoning Appeals. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, I need a motion to open nominations for the Community Reinvestment Area Housing Council. And this is a new commission and a board, and we have 3 openings on that commission, on that council, as it's called. So, do I have a motion to open nominations?
Make a
move-
motion to open nominations for the Community Reinvestment Area Housing Council.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to open nominations. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. May I have nominations, please?
I move that Mr. Zach Upton be appointed to Community Reinvestment Area Housing Council.
Thank you. Any others?
Nominated.
Nominated, right. Any other nominations?
I move to nominate Lauren Ross to the Community Reinvestment Area Housing Council.
Okay,
I move to nominate Jason Scott.
okay. We don't have to stop nominations, but those were the only ones that applied for that council. So do I have a motion to close, or anybody have any further nominations?
I move to close nominations for the Community Reinvestment Area Housing Council.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to close nominations. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Do I have a motion to appoint those 3 individuals?
I move to appoint Lauren Ross, Jason Scott, and Zach Upton to the Community Reinvestment Area Housing Council.
I have a motion and a second to appoint Ross, Scott, and Upton to the Community Reinvestment Area Housing Council. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. Thank you. We're getting good at this. Next is the Tax Incentive Review Council. We have one opening.
No candidates.
We have
We
one.
had one. We had one.
You can sit on more than one, ladies and gentlemen.
I move to open nominations for the Tax Incentive Review Council.
Do I have a second to open nominations?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Do I have any nominations?
I nominate Jason Scott to the Tax Incentive Review Council.
Second. Oh, sorry. Or I don't.
No. Any further nominations? Do I have a motion to close?
So moved.
Now I do.
Told you it'd be fun. I have a motion and a second to close nominations for the Tax Incentive Review Council. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. There's only one seat and there's one nomination. Do I have a motion to appoint?
I move to appoint Jason Scott to the Tax Incentive Review Council.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to appoint Jason Scott to the Tax Incentive Review Council. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks. Next, I need open nominations for Parks, Recreation, and Culture.
I move to open nominations for the Parks, Recreation, and Culture Board.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to open nominations for Parks, Rec, and Culture. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same. There's one seat open. I'm open for nominations, please.
I move to nominate Dan Tips for the Parks, Recreation, and Culture.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations?
I'll make a motion to close nominations.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to close nominations. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. There's one seat, one nominee. Do I have a motion to appoint?
I'll move to appoint Dan Tips to the Parks, Recreation, and Culture Board.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to appoint Mr. Tips to the Parks, Recreation, and Culture Board, excuse me. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is the Bikeway Advisory Committee. Do I have a nomination, do I have a motion to open nominations, please?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to open nominations for the Bikeway Advisory Board. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Nominees, please. We have two seats. Go ahead. Please.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to,
I nominate Joe,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
You're right, go ahead.
I nominate Joe Godwin.
Okay. Any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate Michael Jones.
Okay. Any others? Hearing none, do I have a motion to close?
I move to close nominations.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to close nominations for the Bikeway Advisory Board. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. There are two seats available, two nominees. Do I have a motion to appoint?
Mr. Mayor, I move to appoint Joe Godwin and Michael Jones to the Bikeway Advisory Board.
Do I have a second?
A second.
A motion and a second to appoint Mr. Godwin, Mr. Jones to the Bikeway Advisory Board. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. This is too easy, ladies and gentlemen. Next, no, I need to open nominations for the Tree Advisory Board. There are two seats.
Make a motion to open nominations for the Tree Advisory Board.
Second.
A motion and a second to open nominations for the Tree Advisory Board. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Do I hear nominations, please?
Mr. Chair, I nominate Don Shipley.
Okay. Do I have any other nominations?
I nominate Jeanne Cooney. Cooney.
Nay. Any others? Do I hear a motion to close?
Make a motion to close.
Have a motion and a second to close nominations to the Tree Advisory Board. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. We have 2 seats, 2 nominees. Is there a motion to appoint?
I move to appoint Jeanne Cooney and Don Shipley to the Tree Advisory Board.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second to appoint Don Shipley and Jeannie Cooney to the Tree Advisory Board. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Youth Development Committee. We have 3 seats available there, but first we need to open nominations for that advisory board, or for that committee.
Mr. Chair, I move to open nominations for the Youth Development Committee.
Second?
Motion and a second to open nominations. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. All right, ladies, we have 3 seats available. If you'd like to start nominations, please do so.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to nominate Mike Spada.
Okay, thank you.
I move to nominate Craig Kigar. Kiger.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, I move to close nominations.
Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second to close nominations for the Youth Development Council. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. We have 3 seats, 2 nominees, so I need a motion to appoint the 2 that were nominated.
I move to appoint Craig Kiger and Mike Spada to the Youth Development Committee.
Thank you. So I have a motion and a second to appoint Craig Keeger and wrong one. Mike Spada to the Youth Development Committee. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. We need to get the word out. That is it's a very interesting committee to serve on, so we need to get the word out that we'd like somebody to consider that, even if they're already on another board. So, next, need a motion to open nominations for Environmental Advisory.
I move to open nominations for Environmental Advisory Board.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to open nominations for the Environmental Advisory Board. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Please make your nominations. There are 6 seats. Okay.
Mr. Chair, I nominate Thomas Blevins.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I'll nominate John Kerner.
All right. And once again, those are the only 3 that applied for that position. So do I have a motion to close nominations?
So moved.
I have a motion and a second to close nominations for the Environmental Advisory Board. Do I have a motion to appoint? I'll accept a motion to appoint, and I'll read it. How about that? I'll accept a nomination to appoint Blevins, Bogdan, and Corner to the Environmental Advisory Board.
So moved.
Now a second. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Once again, we need to get the word out that we have seats available on the Environmental Advisory Board. Next, need to open nominations for the Personnel
Mr. Chair, I move to open nominations for the Personnel Board.
Second.
I Have a motion and a second to open the nominations. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. I'll accept nominations, please.
Yeah. I move to nominate Craig Keeger.
Okay. Any other nominations? Do I hear a motion to close?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to close nominations. All in favor say aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. One nominee, one opening. I have a motion to appoint.
I move to appoint Craig Keeger to the Personnel Board.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to appoint Mr. Keeger. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. All right, next, need a nomination, or need to open nominations for the Impact Fee Appeals Board.
So moved.
Mayor, may I make a suggestion? Since these three candidates for this, we'd not make any appointments to this board since it's not met, since I have no idea when. And if we do have an impact fee appeal, we could always go and appoint at that time from the current boards that we have.
All those are repeats already
Yeah.
on the board, so.
And it wouldn't be enough to fill the board anyway.
So we wish to close nominations immediately. Is that what you're suggesting?
Correct.
Is staff
Yes.
comfortable
Exactly,
leaving
yes.
that board open?
Yeah.
Do I have a motion to close nominations without any?
So moved.
And a second, one of you.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to close nominations for the Impact Fee Appeals Board. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. We'll leave that board vacant for now. And Greene County Board of Health. We have no applicants for that one. And we have one seat. We really,
Anniversary program, and she said she wasn't gonna stay on it any longer, and want to communicate that to the city, that we'd have to find a new Board of Health member. So
and that's an important job. I mean, that's an
Very
important
important.
appointment. So, once again, whether it be somebody that's already applied for a position or whether it be somebody new, we need to encourage and advertise for that position.
Right.
Yes. All right. So that got us through there. We're down toward the bottom. We're at council time already. Councilmember Curran, do you have something you'd like to share?
Well, I feel a little pancaked out. It's been a kind of weekend. It was
That's
very,
kind of flat, isn't it? I'm gonna give it right back.
Fluffy.
But the Rotary had a fantastic turnout. For the Rotary Pancake Festival, it was really exciting to see all the people come in there and support all the efforts towards the band and the choir. And then Day of Caring yesterday. Some of you went around to all the events, but that was fantastic too throughout the Beavercreek community. It was really exciting.
Thank
Yep.
you. Councilmember Schwartz. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the first televised meeting, I believe, for City Council. But our next speaker is our newest council member, Councilmember Tiffany Schwartz.
Thank
Please.
you, Mayor. So it has been an exciting first week. I got sworn in, well, not this past Friday, but the Friday before. And I sat with Mayor Stone and Vice Mayor Adams. We met with the Girl Scouts last Tuesday or Wednesday. And we had some pretty at length discussion about littering in Beavercreek, where I had thrown, and Councilmember Kern was there because I was throwing trash in his yard. I was the opponent to the heightened fines for littering, but it was very exciting. Jail time, yes, I was going to jail, very serious. But thank you, sir.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Councilmember Rushing.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and welcome to Councilmember Schwartz to the team. The only thing I want to add tonight is to congratulate Coach Ed Zink on his 800th win this past week. He is the winningest women's coach in Ohio history. but also he's only the 4th coach in Ohio history, regardless of sport, in high school to reach over 800 wins. So it's a milestone, and it just adds on to the tradition of excellence for our schools, but also for our coaches. So congratulate Coach Ed Zink. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Bales.
Thank you, Mayor. Tiffany, welcome. This is fantastic. We're going to have a great council. Just have a couple things since we've last been televised. We've cut ribbons at a few Beavercreek restaurants that are new. I'd like to welcome Witch and Duncan and also Deg's Flame Grilled Chicken to the community. All have been getting pretty good reviews online from what I've read, so that's fantastic. I want to thank the Beavercreek Fair Funding Committee for coming tonight and giving your presentation. Fundamentally changing the way the city is funded is a challenge, and it's a lot of change, and change is often difficult. But I think persevering through change, we often come out stronger. And so I appreciate all of the effort that you've put into this, and I look forward to seeing it in the future. That's all I have.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Adams.
Well, you were right about that, not having anything to say when it got to me, but.
He won. Which he got a.
Well, that's been donated. That's been donated, so. I'd like to congratulate Congresswoman already. See, I've promoted her already. Where's Rick? Where's Rick? But no, it was fun working with the Girl Scouts that day. There was one young lady that did a motion that probably went on for 5 minutes. Well thought out, and she didn't repeat herself. It was very, very good. I also attended a couple of ribbon cuttings. Got to see Anthony Munoz again, which was always great. The breakfast went well this weekend. A lot of people ate a lot of pancakes and sausage and coffee and orange juice and all that, and I think good time was had by all. This coming Friday, I'm going to be going along with several people from council to the first robotic state competition out at Nutter Center. That's with the high school kids, high school age kids that build robots, large robots, up to 120 pounds, and they build them from scratch and then program them to do different things, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that. And also on Saturday, coming up, the Green Bucks is holding their Visibility Day out at the Fairfield Commons Mall. If you get a chance to go out there on Saturday from 10 to 12, please do so. They give out the adaptive trikes to kids with special needs and to veterans who have been injured over the years. So try to get out and support that. They do a really nice job with that. That's it. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Now, I really don't have anything. Now, again, we have a scout in the audience with us tonight, and so I want a message you might want to take back to your troop. We enjoy the scouts and other groups, youth groups coming here, and we set them right up here and let them argue some sort of law that they might want to try to pass. So if your troop, pass that on to your leaders. If they might want to bring a group of scouts out here, we'd be more than happy to have them. And again, I was overly surprised at how you jumped in with both feet at that Girl Scout event. I'll tell you what, it was a lot of fun, so thanks for joining us. That said, Green Bucks, I'll repeat that, it is a wonderful event, and so yeah, the last couple of weeks have been nothing but pancakes and ribbon cuttings, and we'll continue that. I thought you might have had something to remind me of, no? Oh, yeah, this weekend, Weekend of Jazz at the high school. It is, the band, the pancake breakfast was Saturday, is the combination of Rotary and the band. And it's a joint effort that has been going on for the last couple years, and it's just been amazing. But the band is amazing, obviously Rotary is amazing too, but the Weekend of Jazz is this weekend, so check it out. It's worthwhile spending some time there. So with that, I'm going to turn this over.
I have one more thing. on Saturday, the 29th. This is a special day because it only happens once every 4 years, and that's, our clerk is going to have a birthday.
Now, see, you're in big trouble now.
But she's only 6 years old.
And now we will move on to the city manager's report.
All right. Happy birthday, Danny. And, well, I got to be fair. Today is my executive administrative assistant, Diane Gould's birthday. So happy birthday, Diane.
There you go.
Yeah, we had two of them back to back in the office here. After Rotary, that was a great event, the pancake breakfast. After serving several hours there, this one's for you, Councilman Kern. After serving at Rotary, I flipped on over to we had the job fair. Hey, sometimes. Went on over to the job fair at the Lafino Plaza, and we did get quite a few applications, but we still are in need of more applications for the seasonal help. So if you did not make it out to the job fair, it is not too late. Applications are still being taken for seasonal positions. On our website, beavercreekohio.gov, you just click on employment, and it'll take you to all the positions that are out there. I mean, it's from positions for public services, positions, even a code enforcement seasonal helper. It is the golf, many positions at the golf club. So just about it, Parks Department, camp counselors. I mean, there's positions all throughout that are the seasonal help that we really cannot go any further with summer without this help. From grass cutting to counseling for youth. I mean, there's just a lot of positions. So I encourage them to go out to beavercreekohio.gov and look at the positions and fill out an application as soon as possible. I wanted to, believe it or not, we are involved in this now. We have to, we've been planning for a couple months of the Beaver Creek 4th of July celebration. So, you know, we don't start planning in June, so it takes months. So if you'd like to sponsor the 4th of July celebration, please consider that. We have on our brochure on our website, beavercreekohio.gov. If you go under Parks, you will see a July 4th tab, so to speak, on there. And it has all the forms on there. Last 4 years, the city, it's been 100% funded through donations, and the committee is hard working on for the 2020 festivities. We do need also, under that same tab, 4th of July Grand Marshal. That's always an exciting person that's impacted the city. Maybe it's a teacher, maybe it's that's gone an extra mile, maybe it's a coach, maybe it's just somebody that really stands out in the community. But get out there and fill out the form to make nominations, and then the committee will select nominations for that. But again, usually we like to have those by the first part of May to make that nominations, because you have to let people know to see if they'll accept, and see if they know, if they're in town or on vacation during the 4th of July. And lastly, I like to say, we have just selected and voted on, I won't say who I did is, because I don't want to get blamed if they don't like it, if you all don't like it, but we wanted to do something with the 4th of July that was related to our 40th anniversary as a city, our 40th year of Beaver Creek. So 1980 to now 2020 is 40 years. So we have happy 40th birthday Beaver Creek, and we're going to celebrate the 4th like it's 1980. So it's going to be the theme for the floats, it's going to be the theme for all the participants, and so I see some 80 flashbacks, which of course I like the 80s, so maybe some of you might not like the 80s, but it ought to be a lot of fun. So as we remember the 40th birthday of Beaver Creek, and so the floats ought to be interesting, from birthday celebrations to 80s themes. We'll have to see who wins the best float for that. So other than that, that's all I have tonight.
Well, thank you, sir. All right, at this point on the agenda is citizen input. Is there any citizens tonight that would like to address council on any issue at all? Mr. Scout, I see you're getting some encouragement back there. Do you have something you'd like to let us know about? Not tonight? How about next time?
Good job on the pledge.
That's right. Thanks for handling the pledge for us. Anyone else? Seeing none, we will move on. Next is executive session. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I moved to enter into executive session pursuant to Section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code for the purposes of consideration of the employment and promotion of a public employee in a conference with the city attorney concerning disputes involving the city that are subject to pending or imminent court action.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a roll call, please.
Councilmember Curran?
Yes.
Councilmember Rushing?
Yes.
Councilmember Schwartz?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Adams?
Yes.
Councilmember Bales?
Yes.
Mayor Stone?
Yes. For the record, there is a possibility that we will be taking action after the executive session. So for anyone that wishes to stay around, we will reconvene back here. So that said, we are in executive session. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Do I have a motion to exit executive session?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to exit executive session. May we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Rushing?
Yes.
Councilmember Schwartz?
Here.
Vice Mayor Adams?
Yes.
Councilmember Bales?
Yes.
Councilmember Curran?
Yes.
Mayor Stone?
Yes. Do I have a motion to reconvene the regular scheduled meeting?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to reconvene the regular scheduled meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. May I have a motion to amend the agenda, please?
Move to amend the agenda.
To include resolution 20-06.
Oh, yeah, okay. 20 dash
20-06.
20-06.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to amend the previously approved agenda to add resolution 20-06. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Next on the agenda is resolution 20-06.
This is a resolution by the Beavercreek City Council to accept the One Ohio Memorandum of Understanding.
Mr. McHugh, please.
Yes, Mayor and City Council members, what you have before you is a resolution which was revised of today due to a deadline that has been requested by the governor and the attorney general with respect to the opioid manufacturers and distributors litigation that they're attempting to pursue. They are asking that local governments sign a memorandum of understanding to commit to be a member of the party of this class action effectively, which they are seeking to go after. And within the fund, 30% is to go to local governments now of whatever is collected. And again, they've requested a commitment by March 6th, which is before the next council meeting. So it was deemed after a discussion with the city manager, my recommendation was, and the manager agreed with me, that we would bring this forth to council to let council make a determination if they wish to be participate in this particular action. There's no guarantees as to what this action will bring, but it is likely to, based on the amount of costs incurred by the state from drug addiction, from these types of drugs, that largely will be a large amount. So that is the point of this, to allow the city to be a member of it, and certainly any final settlement in terms would require city council approval. This is simply a memorandum of understanding committing that we'd be interested in being a party and would participate in this action should one be filed.
Thank you. Any questions? Do I hear a motion?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 20-06. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Thank you. Next on the agenda, do I hear a motion for adjournment?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much.